Hi, my name is Kay. I'm a poet and a writer, and on this channel we talk about poetry, writing, etc. Today I wanted to talk about something that's a little bit of a hot button issue. I'll start off by addressing the elephant in the room. I got really tired of having hair while having a baby in the summertime, so I cut it all off. My one regret is that I shaved it all off myself. But my one regret is that my hair is so straight, it kind of stands straight up. So thus the hat I will be wearing today. Let me know what you think. I'm gonna at least be growing out the top part of it. It feels great, but it is shorter than I wanted. I should have left the top a little longer. But anyway, moving right along, I wanted to talk about NaNoWriMo and specifically their stance on AI, specifically generative AI. I have talked about NaNoWriMo quite extensively in the past. This used to be like my thing. I loved NaNoWriMo for years and years. I started doing it in 2005. At least for 10 years straight, I was writing every single NaNoWriMo. It was what I did in November. I loved it. I hit 50,000 words. I was joining communities. I was having a great time. The platform very dramatically changed. I think my lack of love for it happened right around 2020, where I just really suddenly was like, this isn't my place anymore. And so I've got videos about that. I've got videos about what it used to be like. In case you're not familiar with NaNoWriMo, it's National Novel Writing Month. The challenge was started by Chris Beatty way back when, like 2000. I don't know exactly the year, but it was pretty early because I started in 2005 and it was already like going by then. But the whole challenge, his personal challenge to himself for the month of November, was to write 50,000 words of his novel in a month to see if he could keep up the pace of it, to see if he could generate that many words that quickly, just to get his rough draft off the ground, basically. And then in general, like, invited the rest of the writing community to participate with him. And it became a really, really big thing. And then it became a really, really big thing. And then it became an international thing. So as it grew, the community of NaNoWriMo kind of shifted. More things were sort of allowed. It went from like a strict 50,000 words. It sort of bloomed into all these different things. Now there's Camp NaNoWriMo throughout the area. It's become a huge, huge thing with lots of moving parts. Chris Beatty left the company, I think right around 2020, because I feel like it wasn't that long after he left that I was just like, the change is too great. It might have been actually earlier than that. I'd have to look up all of this stuff, but basically he left the company, and the company then was really run by kind of the volunteers. Obviously they're doing it a little bit for profit, but it is a non-profit organization. But the whole tone of everything really shifted. It really dramatically shifted when the website got completely redone. And that was really at the time when I was like, I think I'm out. I think this is no longer the space I loved, and I'm out. Since then, they had a couple of big controversies. There were some problems involving children. There were some problems involving the municipal liaisons. There were some problems just in general. There's a lot of content about those problems. So if you're really interested in just like all the things that have gone down with NaNoWriMo since the big changes have happened, there's a lot of content on that. So feel free to look at. I'll see if I can find someone who has a succinct video about it and post that down below so you have that content. What I want to talk about today is their stance on AI, which is a little bit shocking, actually. So the entire premise of NaNoWriMo is moving your own rough draft forward. That's where it came from. It's a challenge to yourself to see, can I write a huge number of words? Like, depending upon your style, you could have almost 100 pages if you were really like cracking out there. This is a big undertaking, a big challenge to yourself. The idea of not just saying no to AI for a challenge like this is crazy to me. And that's kind of what NaNoWriMo did, is they basically came out and were like, AI is okay. I'm going to read you, they've had a couple of statements now, because obviously this has been a big thing. They've had a couple different statements, so I'm going to read the original one so you understand where people are coming from. So the original statement was, NaNoWriMo does not explicitly support any specific approach to writing, nor does it explicitly condemn any approach, including the use of AI. NaNoWriMo's mission is to provide the structure, community, encouragement to help people use their voices, achieve creative goals, and build new worlds, on and off the page. We fulfill our mission by supporting the humans doing the writing. Our position on non-discrimination, with respect to approaches to creativity, writers' resources, and personal choice, which is interesting. The next paragraph was the one people were like, oh, you don't get to. And this was, we also want to be clear in our belief that the categorical condemnation of artificial intelligence has classist and ableist undertones, and that questions around the use of AI tie to questions around privilege, which, oh my God, is a bag of worms to unpack. And people did unpack that. People were like, oh no, you don't get to take the disabled community and throw them under the bus in your support of AI, which is lucrative for companies. AI is something that they could potentially be making a share of money off of. So you don't get to throw disabled communities under the bus, whether or not they're making any money off of it. However, due to all of this, they wrote a letter. So I'm going to read the letter, what they tried to clarify what they meant. And they did change their message. So I'm going to read their message, their clarifying message, and then I'll read what now it says instead of the message that I just read you. To the NaNoWriMo community, in early August, debates about AI and our social media channel became vitriolic. I love that they used the harshest word they could. It is clear that the intimidation and harassment we witnessed were causing harm to the harm within our community of writers. The FAQs we crafted last week were written to curtail those behaviors. We wanted to send a clear signal that NaNoWriMo spaces would not be used to bully or delegitimize other writers. Now I just want to stop for a second. To delegitimize other writers, AI is not writing. If you use like ChatGPT to generate a story, you have not written that story yourself. And I'm hardlining that issue. There is a reason that increasingly literary journals have a clause that says you cannot use AI. None of your writing that you submit to them can use AI. Contests will say you cannot use AI for this, obviously, because AI is not something that's like created in an ether and then brought down to the page. It's taken and pulled from other places, including occasionally, I'll say even oftentimes, pieces pulled verbatim. Now, if you pull a piece of writing verbatim from somewhere else and claim it's your own and try to publish it, that is plagiarizing. Literary journals, contests, anyone who's trying to publish have a hard line against plagiarizing because that shit's gotta go to court. So they don't want to deal with the court aspect, so there's no plagiarism. Thus, you cannot use AI. On the off chance that it is pulling something verbatim, it's not just pulling random words, it's often pulling sentences and phrases. And also, it has to be your own writing that you're publishing. You cannot be pulling someone else's work and publishing it. It says that specifically, and so they had to clarify, no AI. If you are generating work using a machine, you are not writing it. That I'm taking a hardline issue on. And that is also, at least one company has pulled out of NaNoWriMo because of this, because they also take a hard line on that writing is writing. I believe it's Ellipsis, if I'm not mistaken. I could put a link to that company below since they have already pulled out, and apparently it's a great company from things I've heard. I'm all for them hardlining that writers should be supporting other writers. I do not believe that using generative AI makes you a writer, especially in this category. This was consistent with our May 2024 statement, which named the lack of civility in NaNoWriMo spaces as a long-standing concern. Taking a position of neutrality was not an abandonment. I don't think they took a position of neutrality. I'll just say that. Taking a position of neutrality was not an abandonment of writers' legitimate concerns about AI. It was an acknowledgement that NaNoWriMo can't maintain a civil, inclusive community if we allow selective intolerance. Now they're taking a different approach to the same issue. They're not throwing disability under the bus. They're using hot button words. Okay. We absolutely believe that AI must be discussed and that its ethical use must be advocated for, which I would love to hear what they would define as the ethical use of AI when it comes to generative AI, when it comes to writing. What we don't believe is that NaNoWriMo belongs at the forefront of that conversation. That debate should continue to thrive within the greater writing community as technologies continue to evolve. Interesting that they took a stance on it, said they didn't take a stance on it, and then said, hey, we don't want to be part of this conversation. They did make themselves part of this conversation by taking a stance on it. Okay, we apologize that our original message was unclear and seemingly random. Our note on ableism and classism was rooted in the desire to point out that for certain people in certain circumstances, some forms of AI can be life-changing. This is in the medical field. There are medical advances which AI has helped with, which have been absolutely outstanding, astonishing, amazing for people, especially people with disabilities or really uncurable, like cancers. There have been moves forward with different types of AI for cancer that are incredible. For writing, though, not being more careful about our wording was a bad decision on our part. Our mission is about providing encouragement to writers and cheering them on as they progress towards their goal. That remains our primary focus. In the future, we will be more transparent about the issues we are trying to address with any messages we provide. Finally, we recognize that some members of our community have other questions and concerns that go beyond general context for our comments, and they're asking you to reach out to them. So now let's read what they have updated that original message to say. Mostly it takes out certain things. So I will read now their updated message. The original place that they posted, this is now what it says instead of what I read you the first time. NaNoWriMo neither explicitly supports nor condemns any approach to writing, including the use of tools that leverage AI. We recognize that harm has been done to the writing and creative communities at the hands of bad actors in the generative AI spaces. I don't know if we have time to unpack all that. And that the ethical questions and risk posed by some aspects of this technology are real. The fact that AI is a large, complex technology category which encompasses both non-generative and generative AI applied in a range of ways to a range of uses contributes to our belief that AI is simply too big and too varied to categorically support or condemn. Now, I don't think they need to categorically support or condemn all AI ever. I think they are a writing community. They only need to speak to the writing aspect, to the generating writing aspect of AI. They don't need to be part of any larger conversation because they don't have any hats in that game, right? They've got no balls in that court. They only have balls in the court of generating writing. And that's the thing that people have a problem with AI doing, is generating art and generating writing. Okay, the rest of the message reads, NaNoWriMo's mission is to provide the structure, community, encouragement to help people use their voices, achieve creative goals, and build new worlds on and off the page. We fulfill our mission by supporting the humans doing the writing. Doing the writing, which I feel like I don't understand why they can say that and also not say we don't support AI when so many writing platforms can easily say that. Where is the disconnect for NaNoWriMo? And I hope it's not, as they have always been a nonprofit organization, but I hope it's not in a monetary base. But because they won't say explicitly that they don't support you generating a story and saying, hey, at 50,000 words I win on day one, which they're basically supporting here, people doing that specifically, because they're not condemning that. Is there a monetary reason that they're not? Like, could there be another reason that they're not just coming out and saying no when so many platforms have just said no? It makes me suspicious, right? Like, I don't want to just be generating conspiracy theories, but I'm like, why won't they say it? And in most cases for companies, money's the reason, right? NaNoWriMo has explicitly talked about how they're running in a deficit. It's not that profitable, especially when people aren't really enjoying using NaNoWriMo anymore. I used to donate every single year when I was using it. I think most of the people I know who used it would at least donate the smallest amount just because they loved it so much. They at least want to put something back. People are losing interest. They're not donating, and that was where they were getting all of their revenue from. Oh no, it pretty much finishes at that point. They just have another related post talking about it. They do have two more posts that they talk about it, where they basically, title of one is, does NaNoWriMo believe that differently abled writers need artificial intelligence? Obviously they had to speak specifically to that. The first word is no, and then they go on for paragraphs talking about that. Am I allowed to use AI? And there is a long message talking about the use of AI, which actually maybe it'd be a good idea to read what their stance is on it. So let me read this to you as well. The goal of participating in NaNoWriMo is to motivate yourself to write and give yourself space to develop your creativity. Winning is a personal achievement and has always been based on the honor system. If using AI will assist your creative process, you are welcome to use it. Using ChatGPT to write your entire novel would defeat the purpose of the challenge, though. So why say that you can use it? I don't understand that. Just for kicks, here's what ChatGPT said when we asked it about AI and writing NaNoWriMo. So this now is a paragraph that NaNoWriMo has taken from ChatGPT that they've generated using AI about NaNoWriMo using ChatGPT. Okay, are we ready for this? The decision of whether using ChatGPT for NaNoWriMo is considered cheating ultimately depends on the rules and guidelines set by NaNoWriMo organizers and the community you're participating in. NaNoWriMo typically encourages participants to write a 50,000 word novel in the month of November, emphasizing the importance of personal creativity and dedication to the writing process. Using an AI language model like ChatGPT to generate ideas, provide inspiration, or assist with the writing process may be seen as a form of external assistance. If the rules explicitly prohibit the use of AI or any form of automated assistance, then utilizing ChatGPT would be considered cheating within that specific framework. However, if the rules are more open-ended or do not explicitly mention AI assistance, it becomes a matter of personal preference and ethics. Some writers might find it helpful to use AI as a tool for brainstorming, overcoming writer's block, or generating story prompts. Which, by the way, I don't think that's a bad thing. If you just are like, I have a very vague idea, I want a story that involves princesses and dragons, brainstorm something for me, and you just say brainstorm, and then you're like, oh, hey, it has like a list of things to include or something, and you go from there. I can see someone using it that way. I feel like you could do the legwork yourself. I feel like if you're a creative person who wants to write a novel, you could do this on your own. But if you want to start from somewhere like that, I say whatever you need to do, whatever. I'm not condemning the use of brainstorming using AI, even though I think it's weird, and I think that someone who is capable of writing an entire novel over 50,000 words, over 100,000 words, I don't think those kind of people need that kind of help for brainstorming. I feel like most of us have the ideas already swimming, and we have so many ideas that what we need is to organize them, not necessarily generate them. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, let's read the rest of this. It is important to consider the spirit of NaNoWriMo and the goals you set for yourself. If your intention is to challenge yourself, improve your writing abilities, and create a novel primarily driven by your own efforts, you may choose to avoid using ChatGPT during NaNoWriMo. On the other hand, if you view AI model as a source of inspiration or a tool to enhance your writing process without relying heavily on it, you could incorporate it into your NaNoWriMo journey. Ultimately, the decision is up to you and the guidelines established by the NaNoWriMo community you are participating in. Interesting for it to say it's sing its own praises, right? That definitely got pulled from somebody somewhere, right? So very interesting that they would include that. That's weird to me. It's weird. There's something odd going on here. There has to be more to it than that. I think one of the other problems is, at least in the past, back when I was doing NaNoWriMo, there were always incentives for winning 50,000 words, which is the reason you had to like copy and paste the entire 50,000 words to prove that you had actually achieved it. And then there were incentives. Back in the day, there were really, really good incentives. There were programs that would give you like 50% off, like Scribbler. I think everyone who's ever got Scribbler got the big discount on it. There was a time when you could get it for like free back in the day, I believe. There were companies that had huge incentives, humongous discounts that you could get for achieving this goal. That was part of doing NaNoWriMo. That was part of what really drew in the international acclaim of it. All of the things that you could get, the discounts you were offered if you managed to achieve the challenge. If you're achieving the challenge using generative AI, if they still allow for these kinds of incentives, then is that not cheating? If you were to use someone else's work to not complete the task at hand yourself in any other field, and you still won the prizes, wouldn't that be considered cheating? Wouldn't people just simply call that cheating? So I think that's very interesting. I guess if I'm giving my own personal stance on this, obviously I think this is crazy. I think NaNoWriMo's being crazy. I think this is very weird. I think I have seen other literary journals and other contests and things come out explicitly against AI for the reasons that I stated earlier, that it is often plagiarism. My deep concern with this is that NaNoWriMo seems to be very short-sighted here. There doesn't seem to me to be a good reason for them to say, no, you can't use AI. Obviously, we're a writing challenge, like write your own damn book. The reason that they're not seems so sus, so suspicious, that I'm a little extra concerned. And the fact that to try and bolster their argument, they just went ahead and had ChatGPT sing its own praises is so weird. It's so weird. The whole thing is very odd. Hopefully that helps you to form your own opinion about the whole situation if you hadn't heard about it before. Basically, it seems like something's weird, something extra weird is going on at NaNoWriMo. I don't feel like they have continued to carry on the spirit of the writing challenge that I grew up with and really, really loved, and I spent the better part of my high school, college, early adult life doing. I feel like it has deviated enough. I haven't been participating in it in quite a few years at this point. I won't participate in this year, even though I really want to do the original challenge. I really want to write 50,000 words in a month. I loved doing that. Here we stand, the platform that sort of gave us that community, that really helped generate these really, really interesting communities, this interesting program, this interesting challenge that was really, really fun for a while, seems to have swallowed the Kool-Aid. Is that too harsh of a phrase to use for it? Is that pretty mean? But it really feels like they might be drinking the Kool-Aid. So let me know what your thoughts are on this. If you have any further thoughts, if you feel like they're in the right for saying, hey, anyone can use AI, let me know what your thoughts are on that. I am strongly on the no, obviously AI is not an appropriate means of fulfilling this challenge. Obviously it's not. This is a challenge meant for writers. Like who are we inviting to the party? Why do we need to invite people who are not writers to the writing party? Like there's inclusivity, and then there's why are you here? You know? Anyway, those are my thoughts on that. Love to hear your thoughts as well. I just really thought I should weigh in because this is quite a hot button topic, and I had talked so much about NaNoWriMo in the past. I felt like if I just left this, it would feel very much like I was just not paying attention, and oh, I'm paying attention. Yeah, leave a comment down below, like and subscribe. Check out my other videos about why I initially fell out of love with NaNoWriMo and why I initially loved it also. So check those out, and I will talk to you again soon. Good luck to you. Good luck to all of us. Bye.